A young couple came into my clinic with a guinea pig they had bought 2 weeks earlier from a local pet shop for £20, cage and all included in a single starter box. They were already asking whether they could return the whole setup because the actual cost since bringing him home had genuinely shocked them both. They were not careless people at all, and they had genuinely done their research before bringing him home. They had simply been sold a number that had almost nothing to do with what owning this animal actually costs over its full lifetime, and nobody along the way had ever sat them down to correct that impression before it became a real problem. I am Rue. I see small pets, and the gap between what a guinea pig costs to buy and what a guinea pig actually costs to keep properly is one of the most common reasons owners end up overwhelmed within the first few months of ownership. If you want clear, realistic small pet advice before the hard costs catch you by surprise, subscribe to the channel. Here is why that starter price is so misleading in the first place. A pet shop makes its actual profit on the animal itself and on selling you whatever accessories happen to be sitting in that same aisle, not on warning you honestly about years of ongoing costs still to come. That 20-pound starter cage is very often too small for a healthy adult guinea pig within a matter of months, since guinea pigs grow quickly in their first year. The bedding included is frequently the cheapest option available on the shelf that day, not the safest or most cost-effective choice over the full years ahead. This is not a story about any single dishonest shop. It is simply how the business works almost everywhere, and it means the real financial picture of guinea pig ownership is something almost every new owner has to work out entirely on their own, usually the hard way. I want to be clear about something before we go further. This is not a video about guinea pigs being too expensive to own because they genuinely are not, especially compared with most other common household pets. It is a video about the difference between the number printed on a starter box and the honest number spread out across a full year of ownership. Knowing that difference in advance is what actually prevents the kind of overwhelmed, panicked feeling that couple walked into my clinic with. Most owners who understand the real numbers from day one manage perfectly well, and often find the actual cost lower than they feared once it stops being a mystery. It is the gap between expectation and reality that causes the real stress, far more than the numbers themselves ever do. Here's what guinea pig ownership genuinely costs, broken down honestly by category so nothing catches you by surprise the way it caught that couple. Number 1. The cage itself is the single biggest true expense most new owners underestimate completely. A properly sized cage for 2 guinea pigs, since they should never live alone, needs roughly 7.5 square feet of floor space at an absolute minimum. A cage of that size typically costs somewhere between 60 and 150 pounds depending on the style. The tiny starter cages bundled with a pet shop purchase are almost always well under this minimum, meaning most owners end up buying a second proper cage within their first year regardless of what they were originally sold. That second purchase is the part almost nobody budgets for in advance because the starter kit gave the impression the cage question was already fully settled from day one. Building the real cage cost into your very first month, rather than discovering it later as an unplanned second purchase, avoids that particular surprise entirely. Number 2. Bedding is an ongoing monthly cost that never actually stops for the guinea pig's entire life. Fleece liners with an absorbent layer underneath cost more upfront, often 30 to 50 pounds for a full set, but save real money over years compared to disposable bedding, bought fresh every single week. Disposable bedding alone typically runs somewhere between 15 and 25 pounds a month for a 2 guinea pig household. Choosing between these two systems is a genuine financial decision worth making deliberately, not simply defaulting to whatever the pet shop happened to be selling that day. Number 3. Hay is not optional, and it is not a small cost either. A guinea pig needs an essentially unlimited supply of fresh grass hay every single day of its life, and this typically runs somewhere between 10 and 20 pounds a month, depending on quality and how many guinea pigs you keep. This is one of the costs new owners most often try to economize on, and it is exactly the wrong place to cut corners, since hay is central to healthy digestion and healthy teeth throughout this animal's entire life. Number 4. Fresh vegetables and a good quality daily pellet add up to somewhere between 15 and 25 pounds a month for a typical 2 guinea pig household. This is not a luxury add-on. Proper nutrition here is directly tied to preventing far more expensive health problems further down the line. Number 5. Vitamin C supplementation is a small but genuinely necessary monthly cost, usually just a few pounds, because guinea pigs cannot produce their own vitamin C the way most other mammals can. Skipping this to save a small amount of money risks a far larger vet bill later, which makes it one of the least sensible places in the entire budget to cut back on. Number 6. Vet costs are where the real gap between the pet shop price and the honest ongoing cost becomes most obvious. A routine wellness check with an exotic savvy vet typically runs somewhere between 25 and 45 pounds and is worth doing at least once a year even when nothing looks wrong. Beyond routine visits, guinea pigs are prey animals that hide illness well, which often means a health issue is already more advanced by the time it becomes visible, translating into a more involved and more expensive treatment plan than an earlier catch would have needed. This is exactly why the earlier videos on this channel about weekly weighing and daily health checks matter as much financially as they do medically. Catching a problem early is very often the difference between a modest vet bill and a genuinely large one. Number 7. Set aside a genuine emergency fund specifically for vet costs, separate from the ongoing monthly budget entirely. A single unexpected illness or injury can run anywhere from £50 for a straightforward same-day visit to several £100s for something more involved. And this is precisely the cost that catches most new owners completely off guard. Number 8. Toys, chews, and enrichment items are a smaller cost than most of the categories above, typically £5 to £15 a month, but they matter more than their price tag suggests. A bored guinea pig is more prone to stress-related issues, which can end up costing far more at the vet than a fresh chew toy ever would. Many of the best enrichment options are nearly free, which is worth knowing before assuming this category has to be expensive. Untreated willow branches, cardboard tunnels made from delivery boxes, and simple forage mats can genuinely replace most store-bought toys at a fraction of the cost. Number 9. Neutering. If you plan to keep a mixed-sex pair or want to genuinely prevent unplanned breeding within a group, typically costs somewhere between £50 and £150 depending on your area and whether it is the male or female being neutered. This is a genuine upfront cost worth budgeting for before it becomes urgent rather than after. Number 10. Pet insurance for small animals genuinely exists, and it is worth seriously considering rather than dismissing outright. Monthly premiums typically run somewhere between £5 and £15, and for owners worried about a large, unexpected bill, this can turn an unpredictable emergency cost into a predictable, budgeted monthly one instead. Number 11. Boarding or pet sitting costs are easy to forget entirely until the exact week you actually need one. A guinea pig sitter or boarding facility typically runs somewhere between £5 and £10 a day, which adds up quickly across a typical week-long holiday and is worth factoring into any travel planning well in advance. Number 12. Replacement and maintenance costs continue for the guinea pig's entire lifetime, not just in the first year of ownership. Water bottles wear out and start leaking, hay racks break, and fleece liners eventually need replacing after enough washes, all of which quietly add up to a real ongoing cost most owners never actually total up. Number 13. Grooming supplies add a small but real cost for long-haired breeds specifically, since breeds like Peruvians and Silkies need regular brushing and occasional trimming to prevent matting. This typically runs to a one-time brush purchase of £10 to £15 plus a few minutes of your own time each week, rather than any ongoing professional cost for most owners. Number 14. Cleaning supplies are an easy cost to overlook entirely, but a proper cage cleaning routine needs a pet-safe disinfectant, replacement scrub brushes, and often a dedicated laundry cycle for fleece liners separate from your own household washing. Together, these typically add £5 to £10 a month, small individually but worth including in an honest total. Number 15. Herd size itself is a decision that scales every single cost above, and this is worth thinking through before adding a third or fourth guinea pig purely because more feels more generous. A larger herd is wonderful for social enrichment, but it multiplies cage size requirements, hay consumption, vet costs, and bedding all at once, not just the purchase price of one more animal. Number 16. A guinea pig's typical lifespan runs somewhere between 5 and 8 years when properly cared for, which means every single one of these monthly costs above needs multiplying out across nearly a decade to see the genuinely honest full picture. This is not meant to discourage anyone from guinea pig ownership. It is meant to replace a misleading 20-pound number with an honest one before you commit. Here is what you can actually do tonight if you already own a guinea pig or are seriously considering bringing one home. Sit down and add up your own actual monthly spend across cage, bedding, hay, food, vitamin C, and enrichment, using real recent receipts rather than rough guesses from memory. Compare that honest total against what you originally budgeted for when you first brought your guinea pig home, and be genuinely honest with yourself about exactly where the gap actually is. Most owners find the biggest surprise sitting in either bedding or vet costs, simply because both are easy to underestimate before you have actually lived with them for a full year. If you do not yet have a genuine emergency vet fund set aside, start one this week with whatever amount you can manage, even if it is small to begin with. A modest, steadily growing fund beats no fund at all, the day an unexpected bill actually arrives on your doorstep. A separate savings pot, even one holding just £5 or £10 a month set aside automatically, grows into a genuinely useful cushion faster than most owners expect. The point is not reaching some large target number quickly. It is simply having something there rather than nothing, the day it is actually needed. If you are still deciding whether guinea pig ownership is right for your household, do this exercise before bringing one home rather than after. Seeing the honest full picture in advance lets you make a genuinely informed decision, rather than falling in love with an animal at the shop counter and working out the real cost only afterward. I have put together a full cost breakdown sheet covering every category above, with realistic monthly and yearly totals built in, so you can see the honest full picture rather than working from a single misleading number on a pet shop price tag. It is linked below if you want real figures to plan around. It includes a simple worksheet you can fill in with your own actual real prices, since costs vary meaningfully by region and by where you choose to shop. A hay supplier in one town can charge nearly double what another charges 20 minutes away, and the only way to know your own real number is to actually check rather than assume. Once you have filled it in honestly, keep it somewhere you will actually see it again. A fridge, a notes app, wherever you already look daily. Revisit it every few months because prices shift, guinea pigs age into different needs, and a budget built once and never checked again slowly drifts away from reality without anyone noticing. I would also gently suggest talking to other guinea pig owners in your area before assuming any single number is universal. Local vet pricing, local hay suppliers, and local pet shops all vary enough that a genuinely useful budget is one built from real prices near you, not just the general ranges given here today. None of this is meant to talk anyone out of guinea pig ownership. These are wonderful, genuinely rewarding animals, and the actual cost of keeping them properly is still modest. Compared to most other pets, what matters is going in with an honest number rather than the misleading one printed on a starter box at the shop. None of this replaces your own vet either, particularly when it comes to actual treatment decisions and real medical costs specific to your own guinea pig. What an honest budget gives you is the ability to say yes to proper care immediately when it is needed, rather than hesitating because a bill caught you completely by surprise. That young couple who nearly returned their guinea pig over the shock of real costs came back to see me 8 months later, guinea pig very much still in their home. They had sat down together, worked out an honest monthly budget using real numbers instead of the pet shop's 20-pound figure, and built a small emergency fund alongside it. They told me the guinea pig had never actually been the expensive part. It was walking in blind to the real numbers that had made everything feel unmanageable at first, before they ever sat down and did the honest math for themselves. Once they knew what to actually expect each month, the whole experience changed completely for them. What had briefly felt like a mistake became, in their own words, one of the best decisions they had made in years. They told me the turning point had not actually been finding extra money somewhere. It had simply been sitting down together for 20 honest minutes with real numbers in front of them, instead of continuing to react to each new bill as though it were a fresh, unexpected shock every single time. That is really what this entire video comes down to. The guinea pig itself was never the expensive part of any of this. The expensive part was the not knowing, the constant feeling of being blindsided by costs that were, in truth, entirely predictable the whole time, if only someone had laid them out honestly from the very beginning. So if you are bringing a guinea pig home for the first time, or if you already have one and have never actually added up the real numbers, do it this week rather than waiting any longer. An honest budget costs you nothing but 20 minutes with a calculator. It is the single best way to make sure a wonderful pet never quietly turns into a source of financial stress nobody ever properly warned you about in the first place.